All right, we are back. Um, I'm losing track of the episodes, and I feel like it's six, might be six.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're back with the number six of the Paradox podcast here with my brother Jeff, and we jump all over the place, but I think generally it's around the same type of things.
Mhm.
And what I love about what we're doing is that even though it's about artistry and I think creativity and entrepreneurship, it all centers on you, like the person,
Yeah.
the human being, the ebbs and flows of what it means to be human, I think, just as much as what does it mean to be an artist. And it is kind of a paradox. I don't know when you think about it, because sometimes we think of like, oh, what do I have to do? Like, what do I have to learn? What do I have to, like, it's something external, you know?
Right.
You think like success is something that, oh, what do I have to obtain? But a lot of times it's like, what do I have to do within
Yeah.
to unlock something?
Yeah.
So, how's that been for you? You think like unlocking things within yourself to actually be successful or happy, honestly?
Yeah. It's been a journey, and I feel like I'm unlocking the same type of doors just at new levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's not a lot of new things that are coming up. It's just old things that are resurfacing that I haven't acknowledged or checked or taken seriously that are coming back around at new levels. Like even this week, um, just a big ego check, I guess you could say. Like I think for a very long time we can get in a rut of only listening to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
and not so much outside influences or parents or things like that. We kind of I have a saying that's a little toxic, I guess you could say, but like parents, for example, they want what's best for you for them.
Yeah.
They want you to be safe. They want you to have good health. They want you to have insurance and all these things so they know that you're safe. But sometimes they're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they're right. And I had a big ego check this week. And really just a couple hours ago, I was just talking to my mom about a couple things.
Yeah.
Um that normally I would kind of just brush off, but took it serious and she had a point. So yeah, I feel like it's the same doors. It's the same couple of doors that just come back around when you don't, walk through them the first time. So I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. That's that's a interesting like point. Like when sometimes we're kind of just like tunnel vision, on
Hmm?
the way we're going to solve our problems or the way we're going to, I guess, unlock doors like
Yeah.
for our life, whatever that may be. And sometimes hearing it, especially from your parents, when I do definitely believe that, where they just kind of want to protect you. And I think a lot of times the life we live is very like risk friendly, where we're just like, yeah, I know this is maybe not a sure thing, or you're just going after opportunity, you know what I mean? Or you're looking at life as something that's very like flexible and like malleable, so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this for a little while and then I'm gonna do that. Or everything is not set in stone, like, and you kind of want to live like that in a way, so you can be flexible to opportunity, whereas like our folks want us to play it safe, play it comfortable, you know what I mean, and really be protected, like. But yeah, it honestly, I always have those talks with my folks where they're just kind of like they're just trying to look out, be like, oh, make sure you do this or you sign up for this or da da da, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah. But um, but then I think I remember just feeling like I'm gonna have to do that anyway. You know what I mean? Like that's important anyway, especially like the health stuff. Where I was just like, my mom's like, oh yeah, you probably shouldn't eat those things. Like I'm like 8 years old. I'm just like, I'm gonna be all right, you know. And then now I'm just kind of like, yeah, I've been on the no sugar and then all this other stuff, and I'm just kind of like, damn, this is yeah, she was right, and I dismissed them because of my mind. Just your mind being stubborn in its ways. And I don't know, for you, how important is for you like people who can check you? Um, because I've been very stubborn. I'm like I didn't listen to nobody, I think for a long time. But
Um, I think I've always been open to like being checked or criticism or just kind of being put in place, I guess, when I'm like off the rails. But it's always been by people who are doing what I'm doing.
hmm
You know what I mean? And I never really considered basically, you know that saying, don't listen to anybody who isn't successful doing what you want to do, or something along the lines of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Mhm.
Anybody who wasn't successful in what I'm trying to do, I just really wouldn't. I'd listen, but I wouldn't take it into real consideration.
Mhm.
So I was checked, I was set music wise in not career wise, but creatively. But the people who have mastered how to just adult, I didn't really listen to them being my parents and aunts and uncles and family and just other outside influences. So things like just basic things, a car, transportation, like super rudimentary, elementary things for adults. I
Mhm.
just didn't take it serious. So now I feel like you and I can kind of relate to this. I think I've passed the threshold where they understand that this is my life
Mhm.
and I'm not changing it, to where when they provide advice, it's with that in mind, not that he's gonna, um, you know, he's gonna get his mind together or his senses together
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
Now it's at a point where it's like, nah, you understand what I'm doing, and now your advice comes with that in mind. So I listen now because I know that it's coming from a different lens.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be more open and suppress my ego a little bit and really take advice from people who don't do what I do, but are doing what I am not currently doing better than me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's tough getting to that point, honestly, because you need a bunch. I think you need to hit the wall a lot, like with
yeah.
your own ideas and thoughts of, what you want to do, and then you're just like, okay, I don't have it all figured out at all, and I feel like we're all kind of just making it up, which is why I feel like parents and whatever older people have the need to, talk game or give you advice on stuff. And I think when you're younger, you kind of just have a hard-headed sense of direction. It's not like you don't care, it's just like you'd rather do what you want to do, you know? And I think I don't know. I feel like that shell, like those walls have been like broken in terms of just like it's kind of like, damn, I don't want to just listen to myself. You know what I mean?
Right. I know exactly what
Like
you mean.
it's like I think now, if anything, I'm like appreciating like detaching from my thoughts and like the importance I place on them. Whereas like I'm happy to like listen to a bunch of podcasts or interviews and da da da. And I think before I only listened to people who I wanted to be like. Like I only listened to people I aspired to, and then everybody else was kind of like, yeah, nah, you know. But now, like what you said, is almost like I have an open ear to things, and I think that's I think the capacity to listen to anybody is probably like really really important. Just because I feel like we all are stubborn, but it almost takes a mature person to be like, I'm gonna listen to you regardless of where you're at. Because sometimes we
Exactly.
kind of like we base the message based on the speaker. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I think a real maybe like grown up way to go about things is just saying like, yo, like if the information is applicable and it resonates and that person means well, then it's just as important as anything else I'd hear. And I think that just takes a lot of time. And hey, there are people still out here who are twice our age who still don't got that. Plenty of people out here on that time. So I think it's honestly even that I look as a blessing. to be someone that can listen. And would you say would you say because you know who you are, like right now, would you say you're more selective on who you're listening to? Or are you still kind of like an open book, not open book, but like you're a sponge?
Most definitely not. I
Yeah.
think that's something else I wanted to touch on, which is boundaries.
Hmm.
Um, One, I think going back to what we were just talking about, I think I'm at that point of the confirmation I was looking for that I can really do this. Like
Right.
I have full faith in like I'm doing it to where hearing people out when they're talking about, maybe getting a part-time job or X, Y, and Z, I'm like, okay, that would actually help me now that I know exactly or I perceive, know exactly where I'm at and where I'm going. Um, and I do think you can learn from everybody. You can learn from the janitor, you can learn from the CEO. I think keeping an open mind is important in general, but I think I still have like certain boundaries in place for people that show me red flags right off the bat.
Right.
That like anything you say, like I can't, it probably isn't valid in any type of way. So kind of like you said, over time, I think it's just learning how to or learning how to is decipher the word like between
Yeah. Yeah.
people, being aware of before they speak, how are they dressed, how are they approaching you, how did they text you before kind of even making that decision on where to put them. But yeah, I have boundaries for sure. I don't think you can survive without them.
Yeah. That's so funny because when I think about growing up and we started this while we were teenagers. You know what I mean? So like that system in which we like audit people has completely changed, you know, and been like refined. So I think it's funny when you link up with homies from before and whatever, and then a part of you is kind of like, damn, like I have a different code of who I hang out with.
You're not my people anymore.
Yeah, but it's almost like you're not my yeah, you're not in my tribe right now, but I still have an emotional connection or attachment or, a bond with you. So that's why I'm here. And I'm happy to be here, but at the same time, I think when you're with them, you're like, "Oh shit, yeah. Like we were doing that." You know what I mean? That was what I was on. And I think the tricky thing, I think even now I'm being like deciphering for myself is like, "Yo, like who are my homies? Who are my colleagues? Who is my family? Like who do I not want anything from? You know what I mean? And just like looking at like the filter of people like of in your life and being like, oh, like when I hang out with my family, I don't want anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm there because I love them and like I want to spend time with them. Whereas if I'm hanging out with, let's say, a homie, it's kind of like, yeah, we hanging out, we chilling, we catching up, and then it's like, all right, we may not talk for months, and then finding those like good friends, you know what I mean, where it's kind of like it doesn't matter if we're successful or not, or that we exchange game while we talk, like it doesn't matter. And I think for me, I've been so tunneled like on my career that I think the only thing that mattered was progress in my career. So I wasn't prioritizing my family bond, nor could I differentiate, like give time to just homies. And I think that's also a tough thing when we talk about boundaries is knowing those groups for us to
Hmm.
actually have a healthy like life, honestly, because I think you need time for all of them.
Yeah. But when you're suffering in major ways, it's like survival mode in a way. Like you have to prioritize what's potentially going to get you out of that survival mode. And hanging out playing 2K is not doing that for me right now.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like that is important. That's a part of our health in a way, is having different interactions. So even though like we know it's important, sometimes we can't fully give attention or any amount of attention sometimes to different friend groups, you know. And yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's super weird. You know it's important, but you can't prioritize it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I do want to touch upon what you just said, like when you're suffering, because I think I definitely have used that word a lot, and I don't think it's that severe sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I definitely agree with you when you say survival mode. And what I've been trying to do to like rethink what you just said is saying like, okay, I'm doing this. I've got to the point in my life where I know this is what I want to do, and I don't have any doubts. Um, if I come across obstacles, does it really mean that it's not working? If I come across difficulty and trials and tribulation, do I attribute that to going through it, or do I attribute that to like growth almost?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think the more I looked at things as like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, oh my God, this is like, I'm desperate. You know what I mean? Like that kind of mindset. I never gave time for myself, because I kept saying like, oh, I'm suffering. Like, oh, I'm surviving. Like, all this language that suggests like I'm fighting for my life, you know? And I think the moment I was just like, oh yeah, everything's like kind of happening the way it should be. So I can be that person that like this is a part of it. Like,
Exactly.
you know? And the more I told myself that, I was happy to do other shit, you know? So it's like I remember I never went to family gatherings because I was like, no, I gotta do shit, right? Because I have to do shit. Because you know what I mean? I'm in survival mode because I can't just
I
fucking
have to do it. I
yeah.
have to, or this is gonna happen, or I'm not gonna do this, or this is yeah, yeah.
Right. So I tell myself that. And same thing for the homies, for the friends, like, yeah, let's meet up, da da da. And I'm just like, nah, I'd rather stay at home on my laptop, trying to be productive, just like that productive junkie. And I think the more I started to like realize that it's gonna get done, like it's all about it getting done and then moving on. Like just the
Exactly.
consistency of effort and direction and clarity in those two things, right? And when I started moving like that, I was like, yo, like I could work out today. I can just do nothing. Like that's what I've been, bro, this whole Ramadan. Like I haven't been prioritizing my career. I've been prioritizing me. And I've still been, managing for things to move forward and I'm still being productive in different points. But it was just that thing of like, this is not like a tough thing. I don't think it's hard anymore. Like that's what I've been trying to rewire my brain to saying. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something tough, but hey, I'm 10 years in. So the things that I was doing at year 3 should not be the same things I'm doing at year 10. And that's how you know niggas aren't moving. That's really how I decipher it. If you're 10 years in and you're still doing the same type of routine, it's not working. It's not working. So it's,
Wow, wow,
you know,
wow. Yeah, that's a really, really good way to put it. Like at every year we've had challenges, but they were different challenges.
mm,
They were challenges that required a different way of thinking, a real level up. So I love that. I love that for people to kind of rewire their brain to really think. If I'm 5 years in and I'm doing the same thing every day, that's not working. But if I'm 5 years in and I'm struggling, but it's a different type of fight
yeah,
and I'm seeing progress, bro, you're fine. You're probably doing very good.
it's growth. And I
Yeah.
think that's the same with like, I feel like it makes more sense when you think of working out. Like, you may be doing different weights, like 2 years in your
Yes.
workout journey, not the same weights you were doing at the beginning, You know what I mean? Because it's not enough resistance for you or whatever it may be, or you have a different goal in mind. And I think we should look at life in almost in the same exact way in terms of progress. Like everyone has their pace, but I do think it's dangerous to say like, oh, I have to keep going at this mileage. Like this is the how fast I should be going at this point. One, everybody's running a different race. That's something else I've been realizing. There's people out here who don't even know what they want, let alone to be consistent. So I think what's important is like, oh, since I don't have to be desperate and I don't have to work every day for this to work for me every day, then you know what? I'm gonna spend time with the homies today, or I'm gonna hang out with my fam today, or I'm gonna make time for who knows, just like balling. I just want to shoot some hoops or whatever.
Doctor's
So
appointment.
all these things that you're just like, nah, I can't. I gotta, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I suck at this, but I'm just saying like the moment I started to let that breathe in my routine, I was surprised that shit was still moving forward. And people were still finding me. People were still buying stuff from me. People were still hitting me up for things to do. And it was almost like the signal didn't die. I think that's the main thing. You know, whatever thing is calling to you or whatever, it's like it's still going. You don't need to be there for it to keep growing. And I think the back to the desperation, that survival mindset, it tells you that you need to be really like tight to it, for
Yeah.
it to thrive. And I think that's like, bruh, I'm trying to really like shed that from my brain.
think I think we tricked ourselves. It goes back to you have to be delusional, but I think we tricked ourselves into thinking um or being normalizing being comfortably uncomfortable.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're not where we wanna be, but I'm comfortable here. And that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. That is where your ego may be suppressed creatively in this area, but that's where the ego kind of rears its head is, nah, you don't need a car. You don't need X, Y, and Z because you're special. You have a purpose and you're working really hard to live it out. So, God got you instead of paying attention to the things God is bringing you um in the form of, hey, maybe you should do this to get this because it'll speed up this, you know? And at one point, it was necessary. I need to be delusional. I need to be 7-year-old me again who can, punch through a brick wall. Like I have to have that mentality or this is not going to work. But I think we're at a point where we're there. It's working. We've made all the relationships we need to. We've
Hmm.
all the connections, the skills. Some would say we've mastered certain things in our craft. Now it's time to like not be realistic again, but like be normal after not being normal for a very long time.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to look at it because I think first and foremost we're craftsmen, and I think when you're younger, I think everything should be about craft. Especially when you're starting, and that really doesn't go away once you get older. But I think, like you said, now it's maybe prioritizing things because we are adults. You know what I mean? And I think when you start doing this when you're young, you don't have those thoughts of like, oh, I should have medical insurance, or like, yo, like, did I pay my taxes? Or
Right, right.
um, yeah, like, oh, do I want my own place? And really weighing that up for you. It's like, do I need a car? It's like, okay, maybe I live in the city, I don't need one. But really taking a deep thought into like the type of system or what do you want your environment to be like?
Yeah, what do you
And
want your life to look like? What
yeah,
type of life are you building outside of being a creative?
yeah. And it's crazy because I realize that people never think about that. And when things don't work, they kind of go back to like, oh, let me just do what everybody else is doing because that's a sure thing. You know what I mean? Like there's no risk in that. Whereas I think something I've been realizing is like all I've been doing is like, okay, if everything were to work and I just had a crazy run with the music stuff, like how could I just build my life from there and really
Exactly.
be okay? And whether it's other things I want to invest in or whatever it may be, but I'm putting thought into it.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's kind of being realistic, honestly, because you're just like, yo, well, you're not 16. You're not just thinking about selling your beat for $1 million and then, living in
Yeah.
LA and then buying your mom a
Yeah.
house and being like, all right, I'm out. Like
Right.
that is
Right.
sadly what a lot of us still think. But I think you owe it to yourself, if you care, to actually be realistic on your vision. I think that's really what it is. What is your vision for all of this? And that takes time because you got to sit with
Yeah.
it and you got to like constantly be like, all right, let's add this into the mix. Let's add this. Let's take this out. Okay, I don't really want that. And trial and error, you know?
Start doing it now. Like we preach you're trying to reach out to this artist to work with it, best time to do it is now, or like the best time to whatever start is now. Like that applies to all areas of life. You don't have, insurance, you don't have a car, you don't have like there's so many more examples. I'm literally just touching my pain points.
Yeah.
Our pain points. A lot of people's pain points.
Hmm.
Do it now. Research how to do it now. Don't I feel like my way of thinking was this music shit is gonna pop off and I'll figure all that out later. I'll have the money to do this and that. Nah, like I mean, yes, but that doesn't mean you can't start now.
Yeah.
And I think that is adulting, not necessarily having a certain thing at a certain age or whatever. I think adulting and maturing is just realizing I can do it all at the same time. I know how to make a calendar. I know how to be organized. I know how to be disciplined. It's like, all right, take some attention away from this thing that you've been doing for years. Put some of that into this so that you can do this a little bit more comfortably and you can be more effective in this. And that's where I'm at. I'm not pushing away anything anymore.
Hmm.
I think I've paid my dues. Still have more to pay, but I think I'm at a point where I can um get out of that comfortably uncomfortable stage and just feel what comfortable feels like for a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And that shouldn't be, like, that doesn't have to be based upon like success in a way. I think that's a
Exactly.
decision you make on how you want to live your life. So, I can I don't want to be like, hey, I can only be comfortable when I achieve something like 1 million plays or this amount of money in my bank account or maybe something in a relationship type thing. But that isn't fair because ultimately what you're doing is like you're forcing yourself to say like, oh, I can only be comfortable in these situations, and these are the only situations I can accept to actually have peace of mind and clarity and acceptance of myself and like where I'm at. And I think what you're definitely referring to is saying like, okay, when all of those things happen, I want to almost already be at peace. You know what I mean? Instead of saying like, oh, these things will bring that to me. You know what I mean? And I think that's the main thing people are again, I think it's like shiny object syndrome. I think you can see someone go viral and then be like, oh, they always go viral. They're probably swimming in it and whatever, and they don't have problems. But you don't really know what that person's life is and what they're going through and what vision they had. You know what I mean? Sometimes people get successful and they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And they have no plan, no vision, and then it ends up being horrible. You know what I mean? So if anything, back to what we said earlier, like this isn't survival mode because we have time. Because it's almost like we have faith it's gonna happen and we're not there yet. So now
We've
everything,
seen it happening. It's
right,
happening. You
right,
know?
yeah,
We've seen like we there it is no only faith anymore, only I saw this in a dream last night. It's like, no, I've held it. Like I've done it. I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm
Experienced
doing
it.
it.
Right.
Exactly.
And you now have the pleasure of saying, hey, I can even be even more ready for this, to the point where like I really don't have to worry when I come to these moments in my life. And I think that becomes the power. You know what I mean? Putting like power back into your hands where I think there's this quote that says like success is getting what you want and happiness is wanting what you have.
Mm.
Yeah. And that to me is like the difference between I think the young self and the older self, where you want things to almost be happy, whereas you are happy because you have things already and you know that it's going to compound. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And again, time is um like another quote from this dude named Thomas Paine is time converts more minds than reason. And like it's almost like you don't have to know shit right now. But I feel like when you go through more stuff, you're like, oh yeah, like that thing I heard that was true. You know what I mean? You don't need convincing. Like I feel like the truth doesn't need convincing. When you see it, you're like, okay, it's very simple.
When you hear it, it shows up everywhere. I feel
Yeah.
like a lie can only be like seen so many ways. Somebody could tell it to you. You could see something's not true, but the truth is everywhere. You tell me you worked out, but I look in your fridge, I look in your cabinet, I look at your body, I look at how messy your car is, like, because that bleeds into other areas of life.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you were to say, what would be one thing you would suggest to a friend who is struggling with acceptance of what is, like acceptance of their now?
Mm. Mm. Would you feel the way you do if you didn't have anything to compare it to?
Mm. Yeah.
That'd be my main thing, and that's something that I ask myself too. Like, if I wasn't on social media or didn't have to be on social media every day, and I didn't see people on tour, and I didn't see people dressing a certain way, and just doing these cool things that I envisioned myself doing in my own way, would I be unhappy with this? Would I take this for granted? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. So, yeah, take that time to just be with yourself and really audit what you want, what you value, and don't let, especially, don't let what you see online corrupt or like distort what happiness looks like. Find it out for yourself and then slowly make the steps to